Hey guys, welcome in. Let's see. Shrikar is here and Ravant is here. Shrikar, how you doing?
I'm not sure, Cora. I'm Ashley, Coach Jay.
Oh yeah, throw it in the chat and let me
Yeah,
know.
Coach, I'm Ashley, by the way. Hey, Coach Jay, I'm sorry for not coming because I cannot come for the last couple months for personal reasons because I had to study harder. Because in our school we had to study because we had a test coming up, so I had to get hard for high school, and I missed you so much, Coach Jay.
Oh, okay. Can you type the right way to spell your name in the chat for me?
Do you know me, Coach Jay?
I know, yeah. Just type in the right way to spell your name. Okay, right. Okay. Thanks, Ashwin.
Yeah, I'm in a different city right now.
Where are you?
I'm in Ohio, not in Texas.
You're not in Ohio?
I'm not in Texas. I'm in
Oh, you're
Ohio.
not in Texas. Where in Ohio are you?
Columbus, Ohio. I just
Oh,
went
okay.
here for vacation.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be there for the National Elementary School Championships in May.
And also, the reason why, and also my Tannehill thing did not come because I used that on the map and it broke because on chess puzzles on chess.com, when you get to the harder ones, it gets harder and intense. These are the intense things here in our puzzles.
All right. Hey, Ravant, how are you doing? I can promote you for a second here. There we go.
Hey, Coach Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Ashwin. I'm good.
I missed you so much, Coach Jay, a lot.
Oh, well, that's sweet. That's nice of you to say. I mean, it's always fun having you in class. So,
Coach, can you show me your face? Because you in 2022.
here's my face.
That's Coach Jay in 2022.
Yeah, I got a haircut. Hold on a second. All right. I wanted to turn on one more light. So there we go.
Also, at the end of November 2021, we had a tournament and I was staying undefeated 4 rounds. We were on the final round and I lost to the young Magnus, the guy. His name is Garhish, and he played like a young Magnus Carlsen.
Wow. Yeah, it's always tough to play against a young Magnus Carlsen. That it can't be fun. So, all right. So, Ashwin, let me ask Ravant how he's doing. Ravant, how are you? Ravant is quiet today. What's that, Ravant?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good. Wow, that's a great answer. Good answer. So you're Ravant. How old are you, Ravant? Ravant, how old are you?
10.
Okay, you're going to be a great teenager.
10.
Teenagers are really good at one word answers like good, fine, nothing. So you're going to be an excellent teenager. Okay, we are supposed to get started now. Well, 2:45 in 1 minute. So I'm not sure if we have how many are going to join today, but I am recording our lesson because I know a lot of people have events that are going on and that kind of thing. And I talked to Coach Kotaru and he said you guys are back to some in-person play against each other, right? You guys are playing some games over the board? Is that correct? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yes.
Okay, and so you guys have played some over the board, but are you still doing most of your lessons online?
We still do lessons online, but not in person like the pre-pandemic. We did in person, but pre-pandemic.
Yeah, now do you still have do you have lessons online and in person or just online?
Just online for all of us.
Oh, okay, got it. Hopefully soon we'll be able to get back to the old ways. I know I miss seeing my students in person, and it's kind of funny because I just saw some of them last weekend. We had a 4-person tournament at my house, and everybody was taller. Of course, people grow. It happens. So, all right, Aditya is here. Hey, Aditya, how are you doing?
I'm good, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for coming in. So one thing that I have started to do with my students, and I'll do it with you guys, is that every lesson I'll start with a rule from the rule book. So that way, each time you have a lesson with me, you'll learn a little bit more of the precision of the rules. And hopefully you've had a chance to read through this, Ravant and Ashwin. And is there anything in this rule that surprised you that maybe you didn't know for sure before? So did you guys know that the proper way to claim a draw, first of all, you can only make claims when it's your move. So if your opponent's clock is ticking, if it's their move, you can't make a claim. And your opponent could actually then stop the clock and have the tournament director come over and reprimand you. And usually they'll give you a warning first, and then they'll penalize you by either taking time off your clock or more likely they might add 2 minutes to your opponent's clock. So when you're playing a game, you can't ask for a draw when it's your opponent's turn. And you also can't make a claim of repetition. So if you are playing a game and you're going to make a move to repeat the position for the third time, you make the move and it repeats the position, but then your opponent moves somewhere that's a totally new position. Well, now you can't make the claim because it's no longer that same position. We've moved on to something different and you lost your chance to make the claim. So when you are claiming a draw by repetition, or by third occurrence, because it doesn't have to be moves in a row, but you write down the move that you're going to play. Let's say queen to h5. And that's going to make you have that same position for the third time. You write down the move, and then you stop the clock from playing for both players. Make sure you always know how to stop the clock. And then you say to your opponent, I'm claiming a draw by third occurrence or triple occurrence. And if your opponent disagrees with it, then you get the tournament director. But first give them an opportunity to say, right, draw, got it. So, all right. Is that Warren that we have coming in? Oh, Varin. There it is, Varin. Hey, Varin, how are you? You guys are all on Chromebooks. It's crazy.
I'm good.
Good. All right. So let's see. Let's do that. Okay. So first of all, triple occurrence, that's just our rule for today. But our subject for today's class is when you see a good move, look for a better one. Well, as a subject, you're like, well, duh, Coach Jay, of course we're going to look for a better move. And so what can we learn from it? So let's check it out. So Emanuel Lasker said it, but I didn't know Emanuel Lasker said it. I thought my dad said it. Because when I was a kid, that's what my dad always said to me. And we would look at something and he would say, oh, good move. And whenever my dad said, oh, good move, I knew that meant that I didn't find the best move. And so look at this position we see here. What is White's best move? If you guys can see the position on the board, raise your hand or throw it in the chat. Which move should White play right now? I'm checking the chat, not seeing anything there. I'm looking for raised hands. Okay, can you guys see that position, bottom left? There we go. Ashwin, what do you think? What is White's best move? So after the check and the king goes to d8.
The best move for it is to move your queen to F8 to say check again.
Okay, so queen F8. Does everybody agree with Ashwin? Ashwin, did you have a better move?
Yeah, the move is queen F8.
Maybe what?
Baron.
Baron? What do you think?
Bishop G5.
Right, bishop g5, winning the queen. So which one is it? And so when we are playing a game, a lot of times we'll come to a situation in which we just look at it and we're like, oh yeah, king goes there, bishop g5 wins the queen. But guess what? Ashwin, nice job. Because Ashwin's right. If we just play bishop g5, we see, great, yes, that wins the queen. But if you take your time to follow out the other variation, if you have a look at this other variation, then you'll notice check, and then the king moves here, and then you look at all your checks. There's only one safe check, that's here. So you always look at your safe checks first. Check, king goes back to d8, and then your queen comes to d6, check. They block with a bishop, you take it, checkmate. So the lesson we learned from that is that we don't want to move too quickly. And that's the number one reason that we fail to find the better move. So we're looking, when you see a good move, you stop, you should look for a better one. And there's a lot of reasons why we don't look for that better move and why we don't play that better move. So our first one is that we are impulsive. Impulsive means we do things right away, and we're tempted to do things immediately, right? You know, somebody steps on your toe and you go, ow, you know, even if they're in church or in the library or something like that, we're impulsive, and it might just be our reaction, our natural reaction. Okay, let's look at our next one. So it might be that it's just the next plan in next move in our plan to win material. So here we had a knight. This is a trap from the Budapest Gambit. We had a knight here, and that knight, we sacrificed it here. The king took, attracting or deflecting the king away from guarding his queen. And so now, what move should black play? So where should black play here? All right, let's see. I'll look for the hands again to see. I've got one hand up so far. I'm looking for more people that are going to tell me what move is next for black here. Okay, so let's see. Everybody else is quiet. Let's see if Ashwin can find it. Ashwin, what are you thinking? Don't forget to turn your microphone on, Ashwin.
To read the bishop to g3 check.
And then what's the idea, Ashwin?
Capturing your queen.
Right, so bishop g3 check, king takes, and then we can play queen takes queen. And we do that because, well, we figured out knight takes f2, king takes, bishop g3 check. It's the next move in our plan. But is it the best move? Well, we're going to look at that one again a little bit later. But that's
yes, it's the best move.
And Ashwin thinks it is. And we'll show why it might not be the case. Okay, so I was playing this game, and my opponent has just pushed up this pawn here to attack my bishop. Does anybody see why I retreated my knight back to e2 instead of moving my bishop away? What's the idea of what's going to happen after pawn takes bishop? Raise your hand if you know. What was my plan after it, you know, why did I just leave my bishop hanging there? What's going on? All right, Aditya?
So when he takes the bishop, you can do knight c3 and it traps the queen.
Good, yeah, knight c3 trapping the queen. And so I thought I was pretty clever, right? I'm leaving my bishop there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty clever. He moved to attack it, and I'm just going to leave it there. But it actually took my knight out of a good position, and I should have just played something that was less clever and just a better move. I should just play, you know, bishop takes knight, for example. Just capture this guy so he can't castle anymore. and his queen's over on the side of the board. I can just leave it over there and then just continue with all my other plans. But my move was so clever. My knight to e2 was so clever. Oh man, I'm gonna get him with this one. And that one actually, it comes in with another one, another reason that we call hope chess. We play a move hoping that our opponent will miss it. Now, I didn't actually think he was gonna miss this. I didn't, but I thought, wow, I don't wanna miss the chance to play a move like this instead of moving my bishop away. In the game, my opponent just moved his bishop. I think he moved it back to d7. Yeah, right next to his knight. And then his queen had an escape square, and I still had a battle on my hands. Okay, what's another reason that people don't play the better move? Impatience. And so we like resolution. Resolution means we like to get things done. And so we might, maybe, like one example is you go to get a treat or something like that, and there's some cookies there, and you can see that the cookies are a little bit burnt, but we're like, hey, a cookie is a cookie. You can see also they're baking new cookies, so we could just wait and get something better. But we're like, hey, I want to make sure I get this cookie, because what if I'm standing here and then suddenly my mom comes in and says, wait, you can't have cookies, you didn't eat enough of your dinner, or something like that. And so sometimes we're just like, I want to make sure that I get that cookie. And so we have this idea that we have to get things done, things that we think are necessary. We try to get them done. And a lot of times we should just wait. So, and this is a situation where you could take their queen right now, but does anybody see what you could do instead of taking the queen, instead of bishop takes d2? They just blocked your check with their queen, and you had done this clever sacrifice and all that kind of stuff. Aditya, what can you do instead?
I think you could just take the bishop.
Right. Yeah. And so one of the things that Aditya was like, I don't know if this is right, because it just seems like a boring move. And we definitely like to play exciting moves, but your best move is just to take the bishop with your king and leave this here. And that way, if their queen takes your bishop, when your knight takes back, you gain a tempo because you're threatening to jump your knight into c2, forking the king and the rook. And so your opponent loses some time. They have to deal with that threat. All right. So that's another reason, is impatience. So sometimes we're impulsive or lazy. Sometimes we're just like going along. We're in auto mode. It's like, boom, check, check, check. And we don't look in the middle that maybe there could be something better. And then other times we have a really clever move in our head. We're like, oh man, I am so clever. I'm offering a queen sacrifice. Well, guess what? They may not have to take it. And then all of a sudden it looks pretty silly. And then of course we're impatient. We have to get things resolved. We're like, okay, I need to take that queen because I lost my queen. I got to take that queen. I don't want to wait. I want to take it now. I want to take it now. So you don't want to be impatient. All right. So we have a couple more reasons why somebody fails to look for the better move. Hope chess. All right. So this one is actually a famous game, and Black played queen takes pawn. What's the idea, guys? Why does Black play queen takes pawn? It's a pretty clever move. Aditya, what's the idea?
So when they take with the queen and then their bishop takes, we can take their bishop and it's a checkmate.
Right. And what if instead they play pawn takes bishop on f5? What's going to happen if this pawn, after you take here, crunch, your queen is here. If they take with the bishop, you take with the knight, checkmate. But what if they take your bishop? then what do you get to do?
Then you do queen a1.
Checkmate. All right. So, so this seems like a great idea for black. What it doesn't consider is white's best defensive plan. So that's why we call it hope chess. You're hoping your opponent doesn't find the best defensive plan, and you play queen takes a2. All right. Now, finally, hate to trade. Now, I have to admit that I'm kind of guilty of this one, because sometimes I get an idea in my head, like, oh, I'm going to be able to play a smothered mate, or I'm going to be able to do the Greek gift. And then I have an opportunity to trade off my bishop or my knight and maybe win the exchange. Maybe I can win their rook. But I'm like holding on to the idea. I'm like, well, maybe this other plan's going to work and I'm going to get a great checkmate or something. And so then I don't make the best move. I don't make a simple move of just taking that piece. Instead, I try to hold on and keep my pieces for some other reason. Aditya, do you have a question?
No.
Okay, let me lower your hand. Oh, you got it. Nice work. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to the chessboard, and then we're going to come back to this. But when we get to the chessboard, I am going to ask you why you think that the player didn't search for the best move. And so we're going to go through some different positions, and you have to tell me why you think they weren't finding the best move. Okay. So this first one is Queen's Gambit, decline trap. This one is going to be one we talked about, but it has a little bit of bonus coming. So this is a Queen's Gambit decline, and white plays out. And the idea is that white's going to take here. And if you take with the G pawn, you wreck your kingside pawn structure. And if you take with a queen, then you're losing a pawn here, right? Pawn takes, knight takes. And so you have to do something about it. And the main line is bishop e7 to deal with that. So when the bishop takes, you can take back with your bishop and not wreck your pawn structure. But I like to set a trap. So I play knight b d7. And so now it leaves my d pawn hanging, but not really. Take, and they usually take the bait here. So they gobble this up, which is a big mistake. Who knows what move we play now? Where should black play?
Bishop b4.
Not yet, not yet,
Oh,
because the knight will take you. So what do you do first?
I'm pretty sure you take the knight.
Right, very good. So you take here, giving up your queen, and now this gets to that position that Varen solved earlier. Check, the queen blocks. And so instead of just playing the next move in your plan, because this is the next move in your plan. It's like, hey, I win the queen, this is what comes next. But slow down. You don't always have to just automatically play that. And if we put ourselves in automatic mode, then that can be trouble. So, for example, if I launched a poll right now and asked you why would black take this, you would say because they were just in automatic mode. Okay, but instead here, and this pawn pushes up. Okay. First, I'll ask you guys to tell me what move you think black should play. Where do you think black should move right now?
I think black should just take the queen.
Yeah, I mean, we like resolution. We like to get it over with. But that queen thing doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I mean, you could take it on the next move, except the problem is it looks like you have to move your knight. But keep looking. Maybe there's a way you don't have to move your knight. Who has an idea on how we can leave our knight there?
Oh, rook E8.
Good. Yeah, we pin that pawn. That's the best move. So this is a good move, as my dad would say. And this is a better move because we're bringing a piece when we make a threat. Okay, so now our opponent plays here. Uh-oh. Now we need to take their queen, right? Because they're about to block us off from not being able to take their queen. So does everybody agree? Raise your hand if you think we should take the queen. Raise your virtual hand. You guys know where your virtual hands are? Raise your hand if you think we should take the queen. Only Ashwin? Really? Aditya, Ravant, you don't think we should take the queen?
Yes, because we should take the queen. Because it's 9 points.
It is 9 points, but
I think first we should take the pawn.
yeah,
First,
but Ashwin, Aditya is right. So Ashwin, we can take the queen next move. But first you can take the pawn, Ashwin.
Yeah, I agree.
So now the rook takes here, check. They block it, and now you can take the queen. So that is an important thing. By the way, I was playing a game last night, practicing opening traps, and a kid moved, or I moved here. I was playing white, and then instead of taking this, he did this move, which was another one of those instances. Like, hey, you don't always have to just take the free thing. A lot of times it's not going anywhere, and you can just take it on the next move. Okay. So I'm actually going to jump to this next one. This one is a Budapest gambit. Okay, Budapest gambit, another trap you can do against a queen's gambit or queen pawn opening, not a queen's gambit. This is fun because this is, it's tricky. This queen can get trapped if she takes that pawn. It's, it could be really bad for her, right? If queen takes pawn, bishop goes here, and the queen has to come back this way, but then that bishop is overworked. So you trade queens, bishop takes, and then bishop takes b2, winning the rook. So knight comes out, castles, pawn push, knight goes here. This looks familiar. Queen goes back. Now, knight takes pawn. All right, so this is looking familiar. Ashwin found a move for us. So after the king takes, black Ashwin had played a good move. Bishop g3.
was a better move, I think.
And then you win. Now, this is a hard one. This is like high level stuff, but who has a better move and why do you think it's better? Who has a better move than instead of bishop here?
Bishop to c2.
To here, c5?
No, I mean, yeah, c5.
Okay, and then the king goes back to e1?
And then bishop to, I think bishop to e2.
Bishop f2, okay, check. Okay, so that's the question here. Now in this game that I was looking at, the guy played bishop to g3, and it's actually better to play bishop c5, and then when the king goes back to e1, now play check and then take the queen. And this is a good position. The king is exposed. And so it's hard to tell what the difference is. Why is it better to do that than here? If you go bishop g3, now the king takes, you take here, the knight comes out attacking the queen, and when the queen comes back to this good square, right? Because you always want to figure out that best place to retreat your queen, not all the way back if you can help it, because then now that's disconnecting the rooks. Don't go to d7 because it blocks your bishop, but go to this square. Except now the bishop can come out guarded by the king. That's the whole difference. Wow, that's not a very big difference at all. So look at the other line, bishop c5, king e1, and now take here, and when the knight comes out, queen d6, white doesn't get to play this move. And you're thinking, Coach Jay, that's not that big of a difference. Exactly. When you are playing in your games, guys, you can search for the best move, or you can just play moves that are pretty good and close to the best move. And so a grandmaster, a master, a strong player is going to look for that difference between these two moves, between bishop here and then check there, those two different variations. So let me launch my poll question. My poll question says, why was the best move not played? And I want you to think about this, because this is where we actually learn the most from chess. We learn the most in chess when we figure out how we can improve our thinking. Because if I just show you one opening variation and you learn that one, what are the chances that your opponent's going to play that in the next tournament? Not too good. It's not very likely. But it might happen in the one after that. And so that's good. It's good that you know that opening. It's important to learn these things. But sometimes we learn things that help us in every single game, like move after move. And this is one of those moments where you have to think about why it is that somebody misses the best move. And so my question is, when black plays here right away, check, why did they miss the best move? Okay, here comes the question, and try not to be swayed by the other guys, the voting from the other people. Just vote on your own. Why do you think that the best move was not played? And the best move is bishop c5, bishop f2. Yeah, I see that a couple of these answers really work, I think.
I feel like
So and guys, on these, this isn't like math where I'm going to say, oh, that's definitely wrong, because you might be thinking about it a different way. And so I'll be interested, if you thought the answer was different than what I think it is, that's okay. You can explain why. Baron, did you have a question?
no.
Okay. All right, I have 3 answers. I think there's one more of you that hasn't answered yet, but I'll just give it 10 more seconds since I'm assuming somebody's
He
not
said
here.
something in the chat.
Oh, okay. I accidentally clicked out of the poll, so it's gone. Yeah, sometimes you can find the poll again down on the bottom, but that's okay. It's not critical that we answer everyone. Okay, so 3 different answers here. Somebody says the player's in auto mode. Okay, that could definitely be it. So it's the next move in my plan, right? But this is the next move. I was planning on just playing there and then playing there, and I didn't really think about the next thing. So that's definitely could be correct. Somebody said impatience. And yeah, definitely, I want to get that queen. So I'm going to just move the bishop here right away, because I'm not sure, maybe there's something that I'm missing that is going to stop me from winning the queen if I play bishop c5. I know this wins the queen, but this one, maybe there's something out there that I'm not seeing. Somebody said clever moves are tempting. Well, this is clever, but so is the other one, is also clever. So I think they're both pretty clever. So, all right, let's check out the next one, then our next game. And by the way, so what we see from this situation is that it's not easy finding the better move. It's definitely tricky, and we're going to get back to that. Okay. In this next one, Michael Chigorin is playing black. Mikhail Chigorin, 1874. This game was played. This is before I was born, a long time ago. Okay, so you guys see this neat little idea here? When the bishop goes back, Shigorin is going to actually hang his G-pawn. He pushes up here, plays up this way, trapping the bishop, but now his queen's under attack. Interestingly, he plays a clever move here. He hangs his queen. His best move was queen E7, letting his rook go, and then he still has his queen to continue the attack over here. But back in the 1800s, they all played clever moves. That was like the thing everybody loved to do. So there goes his queen. And here comes the attack. The bishop comes out to attack, the queen goes running. And now this is pretty cool position because Shigorin has the knight in the attack, the bishop, this knight barely, kind of a little bit. The rook's in the attack, this bishop, the pawn. So he has a ton of attackers. No queen, but he has a ton of attackers. And you can see that that makes up for it. All right, so after this knight move, what do you guys think? What's the best move for black here?
The best move for black is to move your queen to
Well, for black doesn't have a queen.
your, sorry, your best move is to move your rook to rook to H2.
Okay, so rook takes pawn. Ashwin likes rook takes pawn. Looks like a pretty good move.
I think we should do GX H2 plus.
Okay, so we've got rook takes pawn.
No, pawn.
And then we also have pawn takes. So Ashwin says rook takes, and then I think that was that Aditya that said pawn takes pawn? Or
Yeah.
Baron? Okay, Aditya. Okay, so then pawn takes pawn, check. Any others?
And after pawn takes pawn, you can do knight F3 once the king moves there.
Okay, and then what's the idea behind that?
So when the pawn takes, you can do bishop takes F3 checkmate.
Okay, all right. So here, knight jumps in, and pawn takes, bishop takes mate. Okay, that's interesting. So then, let's see. Any other ideas? All right. So the actual best move is knight here right away, because you're forking the king and the queen. You're not going to be forking the king and the queen after pawn takes, king over, and the knight comes in. The queen just moves away, unfortunately. And so let's start with this move, this idea of pawn takes, king over, and then knight F3. Why was it, and this is, like I'm going to show you my game next, like why I didn't find the best move, but why didn't Aditya, yeah, I think that was Aditya. Why didn't Aditya find the best move here? I'm just going to ask you guys in a poll question. That way, it's not a big deal. Okay. So why do you think Aditya didn't find the best move? This is called self-analysis, guys. It helps us to understand why we don't always find the best choices in life and the best choices in chess. Is if we can understand. And for me, this is more important than, just like a single lesson on an opening variation or a checkmate pattern or something like that, because we can apply it to every single move we make. All right, just 5 more seconds on this one. And I'll end the poll. Okay, good. Yeah, I agree. I think that Aditya saw something that worked, and maybe he was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to play a check, and then here it might have been a little bit. It might have been a little bit impatient, but then definitely that knight to f3 is hope chess, right? He's hoping that the pawn will take so that he can take and get a checkmate there, and so. And it's a clever move also. So this one, there's a lot of different things that you could say about this move. But in the end, a lot of it is that we just need to take more time. Now, Aditya knows that he's not playing in a tournament right now and that this is a class, and he's doing a great job participating. Thank you, Aditya. Well done. And so he's not going to spend as much time trying to solve this here as if Aditya was in a tournament, he would sit there and he would study this position where he sacrificed a queen. He would study it for a few minutes to make sure that he found the right answer. And so in this situation, he would eventually figure this out. Now, one thing that we always want to do is efficient thinking in chess. You want to think efficiently. That means you always look at all your checks first. The first move you guys looked at was not pawn to a6. And that one is logical, right? But then you have to look at all your checks. Aditya looks at this check, and then he sees, okay, there's no checks I can play, but I do have an attack against a queen. And so that was pretty good. He did a good job with that. But if he kept looking for checks, he might have found this idea, because once this check happens and the pawn takes back, should he play pawn takes pawn or bishop takes f3? Let me, okay, what do you guys think? Pawn takes pawn or bishop takes f3?
Bishop takes.
Yeah,
bishop
Aditya.
takes is better.
Yeah, bishop takes is the move. Because if you play pawn takes pawn, the king gets to go to g2. But in the game, he played bishop takes, and white resigned because he's threatening checkmate. If the pawn takes,
And then
check. And if the pawn pushes, he just takes it, and then the next move is checkmate. So
Wait, what happens if he moves his rook? If white moves his
oh, okay,
rook?
yeah, then check and then promote mate.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. And yeah, as a matter of fact, now that I look at it, if he moves the rook, you could even play rook takes and then mate this way also. I guess the only chance that they have, or the only way to slow it down is check here, and then back this way. To slow it down. But then he's still going to get checkmated very soon. So let's see. Yeah, queen could come out to guard h2. Pawn takes queen, and now he's toast finally. Okay. So this is another win by black. Oh, okay, this is one that we looked at, but I wanted to show you what the actual move should have been. Okay, so does this look familiar, right? We want to get checkmate with the bishops here. So queen a6, pawn push, and now he plays this move, and it worked because watch, he plays here, and his opponent didn't play the best response. He moves the bishop out of the way so that it won't be checkmate and he can escape. But he didn't look at black's best response. And now black has an exceptionally great move to make sure that this king can't run this way. And it's not moving the rook to the d file.
Bishop c2.
Bishop c what?
Bishop c2.
So if you go bishop c2, the king can still come out to d2.
Wait, no, never mind. Bishop c3.
Right. Bishop takes here, and if the pawn takes, checkmate in your face, and if the pawn doesn't take, checkmate back here. So it worked. He played hope chess and it worked, is in my opinion. And so then white could have played instead bishop back here and continued to guard this. And then he's still got a fighting chance. But white also, or black missed his best move, which is not a capture. It's not as clever. It doesn't give away the, doesn't try to give away the queen for a checkmate, but it simply threatens mate, which has two different protectors. And now you're in more trouble than that. And it's harder for him to deal with it. For example, if the bishop comes here after queen a4, what move do you play then if you're black? Who sees where black would play?
First, you should capture the queen to A2, then they take back with the bishop, then you move your knight to A2 checkmate.
What if they don't take back, Ashwin? What if they instead they just retreat the other bishop to E1? That's what we're concerned about. So in this position, you want to take the time to find.
Instead of that, we can move your rook to A1 checkmate. That could be a second answer of mine.
So if the bishop goes here, if you play queen takes, I think they go back this way. And they're going to live for a couple more moves. But if bishop b3, there's a way to force checkmate in two moves. It's
I think it's knight a2.
Right, knight a2, check, bishop takes, and then what?
Queen takes a2, and then
Queen takes a2.
And then it's checkmate after like one
If you
move.
play queen takes a2, the pawn takes your bishop.
And then
So if bishop b3, knight takes a2, check, bishop takes, where's the move for black?
Then queen c2.
Then queen c2, right. So bishop here, check, mate, like that. And so this is interesting. You could also play this move, which threatens checkmate. And if the pawn takes, then it's knight here, mate. But they can slow it down if you play queen, or they could play queen to this square, which would slow it down at least for one more move. Because then they're guarding that square for a move, which is not a big deal. Okay. So once again, why did he play queen takes a2 instead of queen takes a4? Let's see what you guys think about that. Let me launch that one. Why do you think he played queen takes a2? Yeah, good. Two answers came right away. I like them both. And so guys, when you are playing, we definitely get to that situation where you're like, oh man, this move's so clever, sacrificing my queen. But what if they don't take it? And you always have to ask yourself that. What if they don't, fall for my clever move? And maybe sometimes they even do fall for your clever move, but you still had better. I'm going to show you an example from one of my games. Okay. Anybody else going to answer this poll? Hello? I only got 2 answers this time. All right. You guys got to work on your poll answering. Okay. So yeah, I think the answers that came in were that it was a clever move and that it was hope chess. This is a game Bobby Fischer won, and it never actually gets to the hope or to the look for a better move part because his opponent resigns, but it has a fun finish. First of all, Fischer calculates this amazing line. Amazing because it's just kind of a pattern we don't see very often. Take, 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 take. And now Fischer made a move and White resigned. So first I'll let you guys just search for this move. So this is Black to move and win. And I don't want to spend too long on it because it's hard to find, but I bet you could do it if you were in a tournament. All right, I don't see any hands for this one. So Bobby Fischer played, you ready? Queen to F4. What? Who sees the idea? Why would he give his queen away at F4? Who understands this one?
I think I do.
Okay, what do you think?
So when he can do bishop to h6 after the
Right.
king.
And it's checkmate. So if the king takes you, then bishop h6 is mate.
Yeah.
Game over. And so if the king goes back, now it's really tempting to play knight to e5 or d4 like this to put pressure on that pinned bishop, right? And this should be good enough to win. But even better than that is first playing this check and another check to get this knight in position, then play your knight in to attack the bishop. Because now there's no guarding it. The queen can't come over to d1 and protect it anymore. And so now when you get it, it's going to be even better. And so this is the kind of thing that a really great player looks for. They're like, oh yeah, I see a good move here. Knight b4 or knight e5, those are both good moves. Probably knight e5 because it guards against the queen coming into this square. But so knight e5, and the queen's got to go over here, and then you can play this check, which is really troubling for them anyway. But this is even better to play the knight g4 check first, because now you're just dominating their position. Okay. This one, White wins this game, and this is from the World Under 10 Championships a long time ago, 1993. It's an opening trap in the French defense. So the queen comes out, and the pressure is going along here, and the pressure is going here. And White sets a simple trap. And Black takes, and White takes back. Black takes, White takes, and then Black took here. And so what are the next two moves for White going to be?
White could do bishop b5, but I think
I
there's
agree
better.
with you. I agree with this guy because this one
Bishop c3, bishop
It's a
c3. No,
So what are the next two moves if it's bishop to b5, check, and then what's your move after that? What do you guys do after bishop b5? What's coming next?
The queen takes.
Queen takes queen, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what happens to us sometimes. Yeah, oh, sorry. Trying to get everybody muted. Okay, so this is what happens to us sometimes is that we are like, oh, I can go bishop b5, check, and then take their queen. So watch, here, here, take the queen, and they take here. And so now we are winning. White is winning by how much? A queen for a bishop and a pawn. Should be an easy victory. You know what would be an even easier victory is if you was just a queen for a pawn. So in this position, what should white play right now? After check, bishop blocks, where should white move? What's the best move?
Bishop takes d6.
Bishop takes d7, check,
And
then
then
take the queen.
yeah.
And so why might somebody miss this? If they just said queen takes d4, what reason was it that they missed the best move? Let's launch that again to see if you guys are catching on to this idea of why we missed the better move.
Oops. I accidentally clicked out of it, but can I put in the chat?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat if you can't see the poll. Ashwin, are you voting?
I voted already.
Okay. Revanth, did you vote? Or was that, Revanth, you're the one that made it disappear, right? Okay, I'm not sure who's not able to vote, but, and in the chat, oh yeah, Revanth, so Revanth, what's the reason? You can type it in the chat. Why do you think it is? And you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to show me which answer you would have given.
What are all the ones again?
Oh, sorry, you can't even see the poll. So, the question is, why do you think the best move was not played? Was it number 1, because they were impulsive? Number 2, the player was in auto mode, like it's the next move in my plan. Number 3, clever moves are tempting. Number 4, impatient. They want to resolve the situation. Number 5, hope chess. And number 6, you don't want to trade. So okay, so yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with that on this one. I think this is like an auto mode one where somebody's like, okay, I'm going to win their queen with check and then take. And they forgot that they should always look for the best move, not just, not just right now, what's the best move? I think right now White's thinking, what are the best next 2 moves instead of just, what's the best move? But after this, and then you need to take it first and then take care. Okay, let's cruise through a couple others pretty quickly. And I'm just going to ask you guys for moves. Oh, this one actually teaches a fun idea. So he gives his queen away, which was pretty good. But now, if the king moves here, I have a question for you guys. Which one is a better move? Knight from E to D7 or knight from F to D7? Which one is better? And this is a tricky one. People get this wrong a lot. Which one is a better check? Knight F to D7 or knight E to D7?
I think it's like E to D7.
Why do you like knight E to D7?
Because both of the knights are more advanced on the board.
Oh, so this one's more advanced?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good general rule to help you with that. In this position, if you play knight here, check, black doesn't have any other choice. They have to give up their queen. That's why the other move is better, because now they might choose to not give up their queen and instead move their king and get checkmated. And so this one is where you find a better move. The reason it's a better move is because even though your opponent should take with a queen, no matter which knight you move there, this one at least gives them a chance to mess up. And so if you have 2 moves that are equally good, play the one that gives your opponent a chance to make a mistake. And so that they might they might, make that mistake. Like in this game, he actually did make the mistake. He played king here and got checkmated because he didn't want to give away his queen. So do you guys understand? This move forces them to play their best move.
Yeah.
But playing this knight doesn't force them to play their best move. It lets them play a bad move, which gets them checkmated. Okay. This was the one that we looked at the beginning. I want to show you the trap from here. So when the knight comes here, check. And now we had, one of you guys suggested winning the queen, but the best move is check, 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 and mate. So you always want to look at your forcing variations and not just stop and think, oh, look, I can win material. That's a little bit impulsive. It's a good move, obviously a very good move. You're winning material, but you always want to look for a better move. This is my game. Here we go. So I was playing this game and I made a bad move. Oh man, it was so clever though. So in this position, I played rook takes pawn and I won the game on luck. All I had to do, instead of rook takes here, was move my rook back and everything would have been nice and in great shape, because after they traded, I could even play right away, play queen here and threaten in your face checkmate. And they're gonna have a very troubling game. But I took, because I miscalculated, that was one part of it, but also I didn't look for all my other options. So the game went like this. And after I played this check, my opponent didn't look for his best option. He just moved his rook in front to block it. And I checkmated him, check, check. And next move, take the rook with the rook, checkmate. Well, I guess if he blocks it, queen and then rook. And then I showed you guys this game, this position also, where I did a move that I thought was clever. When my opponent attacks my bishop, right? Instead of just playing this simple move, which is trading, I shouldn't be afraid to trade, because then he can't castle. I moved my knight back, and of course he didn't take. He moved his bishop and gave himself some room. And guess what I'm going to do soon is, move my knight right back over there. So I wasted time moving my knight back to make a clever move. Okay. The last thing I want to do is show you guys something that's going to surprise you. And that is that, hold on, here we go. Back to our slideshow. So we talked about all these different reasons that people are not finding the best move. But guess what? When is it okay to not look for a better move? So it's okay if you see a forced win. So you're looking at the position and you see a checkmate in 4 moves. You don't have to look for a mate in 3. Just don't worry about it. You can play the mate in 4 and not have to worry about it at all. Or if you see that you can just go to an end game where you have 2 passed pawns far separated, that's totally fine. You don't have to look for a better move. Here's a surprising thing. Then my next one is, when is it a mistake to look for a better move? So when is it wrong to look for a better move? And I bet you guys didn't even know that was possible, but it is. Because if you have a situation where you could get in time trouble, maybe you're playing a fast time control to start the game, like a quick chess game in 10 or something like that. Or if it's a long game and you start with 90 minutes, but you're making sure that you are pacing yourself, like 2.5 minutes every move. You don't want to spend too much time. So in these, if the position doesn't have any forcing moves that you can play, checks, captures, and threats, and it's just maneuvering your pieces, then don't spend 15 minutes just looking if you should move your knight to G3 or if you should move your knight to F4. If they both look pretty close, boom. pick one after you think for 2 minutes. Don't think for 15 minutes on one move. That isn't perhaps going to make such a big difference in your game, because later on, if you only have 2 minutes left on your clock, you're going to play like you're rated 400, and that's not going to be very good. So, but the one warning I give you is that when you're trying to make a quick move, don't go so quickly that you miss your opponent's moves. So you have to always spend your time thinking about what they can do to you. If you said, okay, I'm only going to give myself 1 minute to move, spend 10 seconds thinking about what move you can play, and then 50 seconds thinking about what move your opponent will play next, because that might help you realize that you're falling right into a trap. Okay, hopefully today, guys, everybody realized that thinking in chess is important, and making decisions is critical. There's a lot of reasons why we make bad moves, or a lot of reasons why we don't find the best move on the board. And it takes self-discipline. You have to be self-disciplined to look and find that, but also not just to be patient about it, but also to avoid the temptation to play a clever move, or to avoid the temptation to play hope chess, or to avoid the temptation to not trade pieces and keep more pieces on the board. Remember, if you can just trade the queens off the board and go to an endgame where you're winning by 2 pawns, almost every time that's going to be your best move. So don't be afraid to play that move and go to that winning endgame. And if you're bad at endgames, well, you better fix that. You better study your endgames. All right, guys. Good to see everybody. Aditya, Baron, Revant, and of course, Ashwin in Columbus, Ohio. I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. And
also I'll be back in Texas next week in the 11th. I'll be in Texas.
Oh, sounds good. I will see you guys in a month. Have a great month, guys. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye, everybody.